The value that I add to you, my presence, the confidence that I provide. I'm going to say bold things. I'm going to be intense. I'm going to believe in you. I'm going to challenge you, right? And why? Because I just want the best for you. What's up? This is Desi and Casey, and we are back with Bald Dad's Business Club. This is a podcast for small business owners who are building a life, not just a company. We are grounded, yes, grounded in strong values, faith, and a common sense approach to leadership and marketing in the trenches. We're going to give some deep foundation that shapes how you lead, how you serve, how you build your business and your home. Casey, what do we got on the docket today?
Man, Desi, I am so excited for episode 3. Today we're talking about why small business owners stay stuck. And if you're a small business owner listening to this, I bet you can relate because I know me and Bald Dad 1 over there can definitely relate. But Desi, we got to start it out like we always do, man. What's good in life?
You know, it's still in the grind of softball season. Got the pool open now. Yes,
Let's go.
Michigan, and it's May 20th, and the pool is open. We're going to be swimming. And even better, today, went to the old Costco, and I got me a 22-pound brisket, baby. We're going to put the long smoke on that sucker at some point this weekend, and that's just a chef kiss.
Oh, yeah. And for those of you who don't know, Desi is a huge smoker guy, man. He brought in some moose the other day, and it was, chef's kiss times 2. Life's good here, man. We just finished dance season, so that should mean a little bit of a pull off, except for yesterday I had to take the youngest, Ellison, into the doctor's office because she had a little conjunctivitis in the eye. You know what I mean? Ended up turning into a pretty cool daddy-daughter day. Was great to spend like an extended time away, just her and I, and mom was on a trip with Palmer for a field trip. Nice. So it was a pretty cool daddy-daughter date. She did the impossible. As a 2-year-old, she finished an entire McDonald's Happy Meal.
Right.
Whole thing: burger, fries, apple slices, milk that had been slightly altered a little bit to get her amoxicillin in her system, but
there you go.
No, she's good. Eyes healing up. Kids seem to be doing better. When I left the house to come to the armory today, they were both outside playing in the water table. So
good.
Life's good, man.
I think it's even key to explain why we start that way. Right. And so it's like, if you're one of those business owners and you're like, man, I feel stuck right now. You're like, holy crap, this is me. You know, literally start your day with like, what's good. It's just a way to have gratitude. It's a way to ground yourself. You know, it's a way to lead with gratitude and a way to remind yourself why the heck we're even doing this in the first place.
That's what I was going to add in there, is just like, that shows you why you're doing it, man. Like, why are you grinding? Why are you working the long hours? Why are you trying? Like, you can, I guarantee you could take a blind poll for small business owners out there, and at least 80% of us would tell you we're not in it to get rich, right? We're not in it to, build a company so big that we can sell it off and retire to the Caribbean and become an expat in Belize or something like that. Although that sometimes does sound very nice, we're in it just to make a living for our family, man. We're in it so that we can, spend more time with them, doing things, forming memories. That's why we do it, man. So Desi kind of turned me on to that whole start your day off with, what's good. And, we decided when we were planning out the Bald Dad's Business Club podcast that we wanted to include it. And I'm glad you explained it there, dude.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And I think it's a great bridge for this episode because they're feeling it, right? If you're stuck, you're an owner and you're like, man, I'm just in the middle of this. I'm the chief everything officer. I'm the this, I'm the that. Nobody cares like me. If I don't do it myself, it's not going to get done. Like, insert every other cliche that you might be literally feeling right now. And you're probably not wrong. And we experience it all the time, both Casey and me, throughout all of our endeavors and interactions with small business owners. If you're in that, 500K, even up to 5 million, I've seen it up to almost even 10 million, man, like in annual revenue, where the owner is still the 100% the bottleneck of the business. And you know, the hard truth of that is that the business usually can't grow. And I say usually, like almost 99.9% of the time, because you're not wanting to let go. You're not wanting to level up. You're hoarding control, essentially.
Yeah.
And one of the things that I talk about a lot is, I think it's law leadership law number 3, which is distributed in power. Like you have to distribute the authority and then empower them to use it. Right? They got to be able to. I always say, hey, these people got to be able to do 3 things: solve problems, make decisions, get shit done. Like that's, and if your people can't do those 3 things, you haven't distributed enough authority and empowered them to use those tools.
It's crazy, man, because like you talk about it, and I know, like for me, I still struggle with like being the bottleneck. There was a really great book that I read back when I was in cybersecurity, and if you're thinking like, man, this dude looks like he belongs in cybersecurity, I was for a little bit. But I read a really good book, and it was called The Phoenix Project. Now, I'm not like, or rather, I should say, I didn't used to be the biggest reader. So sometimes I listen to books, right? And this one was a 16-hour listen. And it started off boring. But my CEO he continued to encourage me, oh, Casey, read it. Casey, read it. Casey, read it. Trust me, there's a really good message. And I honestly wish I would have read it while I was in manufacturing, because it talks about a singular person being the bottleneck, and the singular person who is the bottleneck is doing so under the guise of job security, right? They think because they're the only person who can do XYZ that they're never going to be able to be replaced. But in all reality, you're actually holding the team back. And as a team leader, you need to recognize that and say, listen, dude, like you're safe, you're secure because you're amazing at what you do. But if you don't delegate, if you don't teach other people how to do what you're doing, then you're really holding things back.
Oh, yeah, 100%. I mean, it's, you know, so often you get these owners and, you know, they hate hearing it, but it's like, dude, the business isn't going to grow until you do. Like it's a skill problem, right? It's not like it's also a control problem, but it's just because they're not aware that they should, you know, because they're in the weeds, you know, and rightfully so. We've been in the weeds before. Sometimes we still are, lots and lots of times. I mean, especially for me, what has helped is when you do take the time up front, because it's time and it's work. I'm not going to sugarcoat that, to teach someone and to truly delegate something to someone. But man, once that's done well, holy smokes, that changes the world. You know, I like to talk about delegation kind of like a rope, right? Like, I always say you start with the rope short and tight, and as they earn your trust in their competence, right, and in their character and in their consistency, you can lengthen the rope, right? But you never let go of the rope, and you never have a bunch of slack in the rope. So, and then the rope turns into your accountability. So I always say, like, look, if you need someone to solve problems and make decisions, then why don't you teach them how you solve problems and make decisions? Write down a process for that, and then use that to lengthen the rope on those things. And like I said, it's work. It takes time. But like when you do that right, you now have somebody that is a replica of you, or as close as you can possibly get.
Dude, I get it entirely. And it's like, systems are such a good way to get your entire business unstuck. And it's like from a marketing perspective, obviously I'm the marketing guy of the two of us. You know, Desi's the leadership and sales cohesiveness of our two bald guys. But I hear this all the time with people that I consult with. We don't have enough leads.
Yeah.
And like if you're a business owner and you're maybe a solo op or you're running a small team, you're probably constantly thinking that in your head anyway.
Yeah.
How do I get more leads? Where do I get more leads? I I still remember there was a guy when I was working in the agency world who came to us, and he was a basement waterproofer. And he was old school, like incredibly good at his craft. But he came to us and he literally just said, I need you to get me 25 leads every month. And I looked at him and I said, how do you want me to do that? And he goes, I don't care. I just want more leads. And it took a while to kind of convince him. And by that, I mean, I was never able to convince him. But there's not really a lead problem in things. Just like there's not, the problem oftentimes in leadership is that you are the problem. Well, it's the same way in the leads. If your message is not getting clearly communicated out to your customers, out to your potential clients, then you're never going to have a lead, because they don't know what you do. They don't know what you stand for, right? Yes, it can be in your name, right? XYZ HVAC. Cool. They do furnaces and air conditioners.
Right.
But it's less about that and more like, why the hell should I care? Because there's in a small town, right? You're in Linden, I'm in Owasso. I can name 5 HVAC companies in Owasso alone, and I can tell you why I use the person that I use, which is Huron HVAC. It's because their message is very clear, right? We help people like us. You know, Carol and Steve, they're the owners. They don't live in a big rich mansion. They're not constantly talking about, you know, we're going to grow and scale our business and this and that. Like they're normal people. Right. You know, you'll run into Steve, you know, playing beer league softball. You'll run into Carol, you know, taking one of my Courtney's dance classes, and they support the community. Like they are community first, and that's the message that they put out there. So when you're talking about leads, and which small business isn't, I mean, Desi and I go Desi and I go through this all the time. He's going, we don't have enough asses in seats. And I'm saying, okay, then we got to continue with this strategy and this strategy. But if you don't have a lead problem, you have a messaging problem, folks. And the good news is, if you sit down with your trusted circle, right? Not just you, right? It's not just up to you. Sit down with your trusted circle. And if you're a solo op, sit down with your best friends, sit down with your wife, sit down with your husband, and just go, what are we? What am I? What do I stand for? That is how you truly cultivate the message in it, man.
Yeah, the story, man. I tell you, it's funny you said that. I had a great conversation the other day. It's just with the salesman, you know, and he's cranking away, and it's for a big corporate company, and you know, bless his heart, and he's just all like ABC 1, 2, 3, pain points, dollar bills, right? And he's selling to business owners. And I'm like, dude, these business owners are feeling it. And I'm like, what are they feeling? And he's like, what do you mean? And I was like, oh, we just found a pot of gold, my friend. I'm like, dude, they got payroll Friday. Bob needs this. Susie needs that. Check the spreadsheet. Which spreadsheet? I don't know. Did you share that with me? Use the company credit card. And I'm like, oh my gosh, man, that's what they're feeling. That's what you guys are feeling right now. I'm like, if you can explain like what your customers are feeling or clients are feeling, and then you attach that story, and then you just put, we can help you get warm with HVAC. Like that can be the simplest, clearest thing, right? It'll change everything. It really
and people
will.
Like I'd say this, like, and Desi and I somehow fell upon like this crazy moment this week when we realized that a mission, value, and what was the P?
Purpose,
mission, value, purpose statement is actually an MVP acronym. Which is great because, you know, Desi and I are both former MVPs. But I also think like too many people get stuck
by Bald Dad Business Club.
That's it. That's ours. Don't try to take it. Don't try to take it. Desi was an NCAA athlete and I'm a pro wrestler. Don't try to take it. But I think, like, honestly, Des, I think sometimes people focus too much on that and not enough on what they're physically doing to support it. You know, you can say we live out our values, we live out our purpose, we live out our mission. But if you can't communicate what that looks like to your audience, then you're not really succeeding at all in communicating it. And you really just become another business that looks and sounds like everybody else.
Yeah.
Right. You look at how many small businesses are around. And I'm not talking about just in your individual category, listener. I'm talking just in general. And think about how many of them are just forgettable. You know, I like to use the analogy. I grew up in a little town called Holly, Michigan. And we had for a 2.1 square mile village, there was 7 pizza places. Right. You had your typical, you know, your Little Caesars or your corporate places, but then there was just like little mom and pop shops, and they would start, and usually about 4 months later they would end. But there was one that stuck around the longest time, and it was called Pro Pizza. And Pro Pizza was known for just being greasy slop. That's what it was, but that's what everybody wanted. So they weren't forgettable because their shit was greasy. And it's like the weirdest thing to be known for. But if you wanted a greasy pizza, you knew exactly where to go. They differentiated themselves from the market, and they became unforgettable based only on that.
Yeah.
So it doesn't necessarily always have to be something that you are, you know, laser focused on mission, value, and purpose. I mean, I love those things. I do. I love a good MVP. Like we just, you know, utilized our one at Dr. Wax for really good stuff. But I'm just saying, don't stay married to it.
Right. I tell you, there's a lot there. There's a lot there that cross pollinates with leadership. You know, because like you can't also at the same side, you can't be a forgettable leader. Like that is one of the pieces of my brand, of my marketing, of like, I need to spend time with you because I will do everything in my power to make you not forget the time you spent with me. Right. Of the value that I add to you, my presence, the confidence that I provide. I'm going to say bold things. I'm going to be intense. I'm going to believe in you. I'm going to challenge you. Right. And why? Because I just want the best for you. Right. At the end of the day. And that's one of the ways that I try to lead in an unforgettable way. Right. Is they're going to know that I care for them. So like you gotta attach to that. Right. And what is all of this? Right. Here's what it is. It's you, the owner, transferring from acting like the best employee, because that's what you were. That's probably why you started.
Yep,
right?
You're right.
You were really great at your skill and what you did. You probably still are the best employee in your business, the most valuable employee in your business. You have to start to transition into being the best leader for your business. Otherwise, you will stay at 500, a million, right? Which sometimes that's totally fine. And hey, that's cool if that's what you're trying to do, right? But I will tell you, there's a whole nother piece of fulfillment and impact that unlocks when you can provide opportunities for other people, and is also fulfilling for you because you see them carrying out your MVP, right? Your mission, your purpose. And it just helps everything, right? You get stronger families, you get stronger communities, you got stronger leaders, right? Husbands, wives, parents, like all of that. And you still being your best employee is holding you back from that impact and that fulfillment. But
amen, dude.
That's a lot. That's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of power, Casey. But let's get into like what would be some tactics to dig into that and say like, okay, that's great. I'm with you. I'll start. I'll start. The biggest one that I think to help with this, right? Whether you have literally one other person up to 100 other people, you need a communication cadence. You need simply put, you need a meeting rhythm, and you need you need meetings that make money. Right? It's like you need like a leadership meeting. You need one-on-ones, right? You need a financial meeting. And no one says this is like death by meeting by any means. I think that's a book by Patrick Lencioni, actually. Like there is such a thing as a 7-minute meeting, right? But here's what to do with your meetings, okay? And I've got an entire guide on this. Like it's like the team meeting toolkit. You can go to my website. It's free. Download it there. It's like 20 something pages. It's ridiculous. The agendas, the scripts, the whole 9 yards. Go get it there. But like it's just the same days and the same times, the same weeks, the same months with the same people in the same places. It's a rhythm. It's a cadence, right? And here's what I like to say about this, Casey, is the thing that gets you unstuck is, and I've been kind of, standing at the leadership pulpit, screaming this lately, is that you'll never be able to lead the people and get the impact and fulfillment that you really want as the owner until you build management structures that keep you working and keep the expectations held, the accountability held, the performance standard. Because then once that is all managed, you can then lead the person to being a better dad, a better mom, a better husband, wife, right? Brother, sister, all of the above, man, which is like, that's where the magic happens, right? But you'll never get there if Bob, the worker, hasn't been spoken to by his manager in 3 weeks because there's no meeting rhythm or communication cadence. And I'm telling you, team, I hear it every day, all day. And that's the number one thing I input in the business, and I literally give it away for free on my website.
Oh yeah,
like it's transformational.
Like, and the other worst thing is just being aversive to conflict with your own employees, right, or with your own leaders. Yeah. Conflict begets resolutions. If you don't have the conflict, you can't have a resolution to things.
Yeah, bingo. I mean,
so
you got to be willing to get after it.
And you might not think your business has different departments, whether you be a solo op, a 5-person business, or a 40-person company. You might not think your company has departments, but if you don't have that sort of like separation of powers and who's responsible for what, and then that responsibility is logged and documented and kept accountable to, then you do start to get those scope creeps. Right. And you started off this statement by talking about, rhythm and cadence in things. That the same goes for marketing. Desi, there is so many people, and I've worked for multiple bosses who have been this exact same way, where they just want to chase the shiny thing.
Yeah.
Right. They want to chase the trend, or they want to say, so-and-so business across the town is doing this. Why aren't we doing it? And it's a trap. Right. I'm going to quote the great Admiral Akbar in saying, it's a trap. Because it really is. If you chase too many marketing tactics, then the field of play keeps changing.
Yeah.
You don't.
It's so true, man. I mean, I even fell into that trap myself of like first getting into this. My first go was like, we need a podcast and we need this and we need marketing TikTok. We need blah, 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 blah. And you're like, oh my gosh, I can't sustain any of this, and I'm doing none of it well, And before I tell you when it really changed is when I said, you know what, most of my people are on Facebook and Instagram. They're on Meta, and I'm like, so you know what, we're gonna do Meta well, and I just chose Facebook and Instagram because they cross post. Because if you made me choose one, I would have chose Facebook.
Yep.
I was like, now we're getting to where like we're posting 5-6 times a day. We're very consistent. Our content is getting better and better and better, and we're seeing ROI from it, right? And Correct. Just now, 3 years later, have I came back to say, hey, I think I found someone that I want to do a podcast with that I enjoy making the content, right? And I'm like, dude, let's start slow. Let's make it very manageable. Like, let's start, at a lower production level, which kudos to technology. You can get a pretty high production level for a pretty cheap price anymore, which is pretty cool, But I've been there. I fell in that trap all day. And you know what I like to ask people sometimes? It's almost like when I tee it up, to have them call you, is like, hey, I'll say I got one question for you. How do people, or one or two, I'll say, how do people find you? And like, how do you get business from them? Like, where's your business coming from? Like, and pinpoint it. Like if I said, how would you get 100 clients tomorrow? They'd be like, oh, SEO on Google. right? Most 7 out of 10 can't answer that question.
Well,
it's you're doing $2 million. How can you not answer that question?
Well, I was listening to something on the way home from work today, and it made perfect sense. They called it the revenue carousel. And that speaks exactly into what you're talking about, Des, but it also kind of ties our point home, right? Mm-hmm. You feel like you're stuck as a small business owner because in a lot of cases, you don't know where your money's coming from. And if you do know where your money is coming from and it changes, you're kind of feeling like you're off on an island a little bit. Oh, yeah. So the best thing to do, and it's the same way that you just talked about, you finally found somebody that you want to host a podcast with. You finally found the platform that you wanted to use to reach the proper audience for you. It's become enjoyable, hasn't it?
Oh, yeah, man. No, I love it. I'm like, yeah, let's make some more content.
And how much easier is it to do your work, to visualize, and to grow your business when it's enjoyable?
Oh my gosh, it's and the content's better too. You'll do it more often, you'll do it more consistently, and it'll be better because you're enjoying it, right? Because hey, cliche, but happy people tend to do more work faster and more accurately.
Oh yeah, man. There will be some days I'll just walk through the office, and I work in a primarily female office, and like if you've ever been that way, you know how it can be sometimes, and the mood will just be gloomy. And I'll just go out into the waiting room and I'll start just having conversations with patients. Yeah. We'll laugh, we'll talk, we'll tell stories. I'll tell them how much of an idiot I am. And what happens to that entire waiting room? Energy goes up, right? Enjoyability goes up. And the beautiful thing about that is it's contagious. So if you think that works for your customers and your clients, try doing it with your employees. You know, we started this podcast out today explaining why we talk about, you know, what's good in your life when it starts off. Well, it's to set the tone. It's to set the mood, right? Desi and I, you know, we're away from our families right now, right? Desi's in another room. I'm in another building, and we're taking time away from the thing that we love the most, which is our families. And we're doing it because we enjoy what we're doing. You know, I could sit here as a marketing guy and lie and say, like, we're sharing the greatest secrets with you because we want you to succeed. Like, yeah, is that part of it? Okay. Yeah, Desi and I are both very charitable guys. But at the same rate, we're doing it because we enjoy it and because we know that whomever you are, listener, this can truly help you. So I guess to round it out on my end, you know, yes, it sucks to feel stuck. And in today's economy, so many small businesses are feeling that. But rather than blaming it on this or blaming it on that, or, you know, throwing your hands in your head or worse, getting destructive in your own life, right? Rather than doing that, take a couple steps back, figure out why it's important to you. Figure out what your message is. And honestly, man, just don't take it too seriously. Like God provides. He's always got a plan for us. And when one door opens, one door closes, another door opens. I was on a heater before that too. I was on a heater, man.
You were. You know, I got one last tactic, and I think I want to save it, man. Because it would take us down a whole other rabbit hole, and I think that's a great way to end it, man. But like, what do we got next, Casey? What's coming up next? You know, we got you through the stuck part. You got some tactical ways. What are we talking about next? Just a little teaser.
Well, episode 4 is coming up next week, and if you've been listening to us for the first 3 episodes, and you were thinking, when are they going to really talk to us about how to grow? Like, this is the episode. This is the episode. Yeah. So next week, we're talking what actually makes a small business grow. So we're excited to join you guys for that one. We hope you had a great time hanging out with 2 bald dads on the Bald Dad Business Club.